energy sector. And that's the whole goal of RETI. So we want to do this by hosting many of our trainings, as some of you have seen on our website. And most importantly, through these webinars, engaging people and help people to see the opportunities that are in the sector. Because many people think renewable energy is just solar, but renewable energy is much more than solar. And today, we're going to have one of our assistant technical trainers coach us on the opportunities in the sector. So I'm going to be handing over right now to Engineer Iyanu, who is going to take us on this class. So let us welcome Engineer Iyanu. Engineer Iyanu, please, you should introduce yourself before you start. I think everyone will get a chance to ask a question at the end. So over to you now, Engineer Iyanu.
All right, guys. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Okay. My name is Ian, like you mentioned earlier. Let me just give a brief overview. I have a bachelor's degree in electrical and electronics engineering from Federal University of Technology, Akure. And I'm passionate about renewable energy because I believe it's the future of energy generation in Nigeria and the world at large. I don't know, are we feeling cold at our end? Because the cold here is so much. Mr. Dara, his mic is muted. Please, we can unmute our mics for now.
Yeah, since we're just a few of us here.
And I can see there's someone using Galaxy J4. There is no name. You are waving hands. Do you have any question?
Yeah, I just asked him that too.
Okay, can you hear me? Hello, everybody.
Yeah, hi. Hello.
Hi, yeah.
Okay, hi, Dara.
Hi. Are you sharing your screen? Because I can't see anything on my screen.
Oh, yes, me, I can see something on his screen. Dara, Iyanu is sharing his screen.
No, but I can't see anything. My screen is blank.
Are you for real? Why is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
I paused the screen sharing, but I don't think it should go off. It should.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it now. Okay. I can see it now.
I guess because I paused it. No worry, let's do it.
All right.
Post it intentionally.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So, Mr. Dara, sorry.
Okay.
Mr. Iyanu, over to you.
Okay, so how is the cold at your hand? Me, the weather here is so cold.
Where are you? Where are you exactly?
I'm in Akure, Ondo State.
Wow.
I'm sure he's joking.
Abuja has been hot. So
very.
Lagos is hot.
Lagos is hot.
Abuja is like your
hot. Side. How cold is it?
It's very hot over here in Lagos.
Oh boy. I've actually been sleeping on the towel for some days now because of the heat.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone feels it. There's current heat wave right now in Nigeria.
It's very hot. And we all contributed to it. I hope we all agree. Your generators contributed to it. Your cars contributed to it. Your firewood cooking contributed to it. So renewable energy, what did you say?
No, go on, please.
So the cry for renewable energy is not just about we having electricity assets. It's about building a sustainable world. We don't just want to wreck this world and leave our children to suffer from global warming. That's why there has been a lot of emphasis on renewable energy lately. And I think until we all start taking steps in that direction, nothing is going to change. Personally, I don't use generator. Number one, because I really hate noise. And number two, because I don't want to be contributing to global warming. So, Mr. Dara, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Mr. Matt, welcome on board. We have about 7 participants now. Once we have 10 participants, we can start the lecture. But I just want us to have a brief discussion. From you, Mr. Dara.
Yeah.
In a layman's language, can you just explain what renewable energy is to you?
Renewable energy to me is a source of energy that is sustainable. It's not harmful to the environment. It replenishes itself like the sun. I mean, the sun is not going, never going anywhere. Like crude oil over time it diminishes, but the solar never ends. It's always wind. It's always water bodies, hydro, and yeah, sustainable and also replenishable too. So that I think those are the two keywords for that can describe renewable energy in a nutshell.
So that means we can call renewable energy sustainable energy.
Yes, it's just semantics, it's just terms and words. But yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay, but there's an idea when people talk about renewable energy, the only thing they talk about is solar panels. Is it right?
The reason why we talk about in Nigeria is because that is the energy source that is reasonable for Nigeria. I mean,
Okay.
for Nigeria, we have abundant sunlight.
Yeah.
So it's a no-brainer for us to assess it. But yeah, you're right. In Nigeria, there's a big emphasis on solar. But other countries, we have other emphasis on, I mean, hydro, wind, geothermal, biomass. So I guess it's just looking at what works per region. Like I think in a country like Germany is more on wind. I think mostly wind, hydro. Some other countries, yeah. So it's just basically what works for you in the long run, yeah.
So I think it's Nigeria taking advantage of our strength.
Yes, exactly.
That's a big lesson. It's always good to take advantage of one's strength. All right.
Yeah.
Excuse me, before you continue. So the other 4 people who have joined this, you're welcome to Renewable Energy Technology Training Institute webinar on opportunities in the renewable energy sector and profitable value chains. So right before you joined, we had introduced our speaker for tonight, Engineer Iyanu, who is also an assistant technical facilitator at RETI. So he's going to be starting the lecture in 1 more minute, exactly at 8:10. If you have any questions, ask it at the end of the may I ask everyone to mute your microphones right now so that we avoid the background noises? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. So over to you now, Mr. Engineer.
Miss Glory, please, can you see the share screen?
I can see the screen.
Please, for people who haven't muted their mic and are still online, I would appreciate you do that. Galaxy, for your mic is not muted. Mr. Emmanuel, your mic is not muted.
Okay. I think you can go on now. I have muted every other person.
Okay, great. Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Iyanu, as I was earlier introduced. So you can simply call me Iyanu. You don't need to hide the engineer speed. All right, we'll be talking about the opportunities in the renewable sector and profitable value chains. And I just want us to have the mind that we are not talking about the mathematical analysis, or let me say the data analysis this time around. We just want to have a brief overview and insights into the opportunities we have in the renewable energy sector and how we can get to take advantage of these opportunities. So I just want us to follow. For people who have questions, you can pen down your questions. After the whole lecture, we talk about the things you want us to address. The problem. Nigeria is the largest economy in sub-Saharan Africa, but with limitations in the power sector. Nigeria is endowed with large oil, gas, hydro, and solar resource, and it already has potential to generate 12,522 megawatts of electric power from existing plants. But most days is only able to generate 4,000 megawatts. While in school, I did my final year project on analysis of energy generated in Shiroro hydropower plants. That's one of the biggest in Nigeria. And I got access to some data of energy generation for, I think, about 15 to 20 years in Nigeria. And if you study the data, you discover a decline in our energy generation. And it's so surprising to know that the difference between the energy we generate in 20 years ago to the energy we generate now is so small, while the population is increasing drastically. So we see that this is a major problem for us that needs to be addressed. While growing up, I lived in a place that having 24 hours power supply, which 24 hours power supply, 4 hours power supply constantly in a day was a problem. When we have 5 hours of power supply, we celebrate. So there's a problem that needs to be addressed, and how can we address this problem? And in Nigeria's bid to address the problem, Nigeria privatized the distribution companies. So there is a wide range of tariffs. Now, privatizing the companies was supposed to solve the problem of energy generation in Nigeria. But I would say from my end that it's contributed to the problem of energy generation in Nigeria. I had my national youth service at Kaduna Electricity Distribution Company, which is one of the top 3 electricity distribution firms in Nigeria. And from my little experience, the year experience, I discovered that customers, like when I'm talking about customers, I'm talking about end users of electricity, they are not being charged basically in relation to the energy they consume. Now, what am I saying? There's something called estimated billing, except for people who have prepaid meters, and there's still a backlog to that. People who don't have prepaid meters in Nigeria. What happens is they share the amount they expect to, the revenue they ought to generate from that area, and share it among the end users and see how they can meet their own targets. So electricity distribution firms are just normal sales distributor, like when you have people who distribute for Picnic, for Coca-Cola, for Milo, they have targets to meet, and they don't care about you, the end user. That's that about the problem. So I just want our mind to be open to see that there's a problem on ground and it has to be addressed. All right, the gap. Since we use energy for almost everything, the recent trend towards greener, more sustainable technology is creating more opportunities for entrepreneurial-minded individuals. For some of us that know and some of us that might not know, an entrepreneur is someone who sees opportunity and can convert it to value. You see problem, you see challenges, and you can make meaning out of it. And the energy sector is very open. There's a lot of problem that needs to be addressed.
Sorry, excuse me, Iyanu. Please, your slide is not changing. It has been on the first page since. Have you been changing your slide?
Yeah.
Okay. It was not changing. It was just on the first page. Can you try to change it now and see?
Okay.
Right now, we are not seeing anything anymore.
How about
now? Okay, yes, the gap.
Okay.
Was there something previous before? Okay.
This is the previous.
Okay,
okay, let me just give you a brief recap. I think you should be, your mic should be on.
Oh, hello? Yes, before you can see the screen. Before you can see.
No. Maybe if you have, if you could give me.
Okay. Oh my God. Hello? We can't hear you anymore. Okay, I think. Yeah. Can you change it to the next screen now? Let's see. Hi. Yanu, are you still there? Okay, I think that he's having some network hitches. Oh my God. No. Mr. Mba Victor, can you stop sharing your screen, please?
Is my screen sharing? Yes. I don't know. It's not me.
Okay. Wow. So let's please hold on a little bit for Mr. Yanu to come back online. Yes, you're sharing your screen,
Okay.
Victor.
My own screen is sharing. I don't know. How can I do that? I'm not sharing my screen though.
Okay, don't worry, we'll sort it
I
out.
don't know why it's okay.
Okay, so please let's hold on a little bit. Mr. Guillermo will join us. Oh, yes, Victor, you're sharing your screen. I can see your face now. Just click on
Yes,
stop sharing screen.
okay. Let me get that.
Apologies, everyone. Let me try to get Mr. Yanu back online, and we should be able to join shortly. But basically, he began by sharing what was the problem in the renewable energy sector and what is going on, the enormous opportunities that you can find in the sector. For those of you who are just joining, my name is Glory Ogwebu. I'm the coordinator of Renewable Energy Tech Training Institute. I just actually returned back from South Africa for the Open Africa Power Fellowship that has been organized by NL Foundation. My eyes were opened a lot when I was in Cape Town, South Africa, to the enormous amount of potential that we have in Africa for renewable energy. In South Africa, I saw that a lot of houses, almost all the houses that I saw in Cape Town had solar panels on the roofs. I'm like, wow, these folks, either you see solar panels or you see solar water pumping. You know, and these people, they don't have much sun than us. We also have, if not more, the same amount of sunshine in our country, just like they do. But how come these people have already caught the vision and they are flying with it? And so I realized in that event that there's a lot of potential in this sector, and that the earlier people, young people like you and I, continue to plug into that opportunity, the better. And so that was part of the reason why we decided to host this webinar, so that people can begin to learn what they can do, how they can plug into the sector. We have a lot of series like this at Renewable Energy Tech Training Institute for the year, where we're going to be talking about different aspects of renewable energy and how young people can actually start a small business in the sector. So we have people calling us every day saying, I want to start a solar business. What will I do? What will I do? You know, and we usually tell them that you must start by the basics. You must start from the first thing. What knowledge do you have? What amounts of knowledge do you have? First of all, please, Mr. Yando, if you come back online, let me know.
Yeah, I'm online.
Oh, okay. So we were trying to just drive on the discussion while we wait for you. So I guess that you can continue your discussion now.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
I'm very sorry, guys. That's one of the problems. We have a lot of problems in Nigeria, and we are just trying to address one. Internet access is one of the problems we have in Nigeria, but we can't solve everything at the same time. All right. So I'd done a bit of adjustment to what's at my hand, so I think the network should be more stable now. Please, are we on? All right.
Yes, we're on.
So back from where I stopped, I said there's a lot of problem in Nigeria, but let's not emphasize on the problem. Let's see insights on the solution to the problem. So let me just move on.
We're not seeing the slides anymore.
You're not seeing the slides anymore?
Yes.
Okay. How about now?
I think it's coming up now.
All right.
Okay, yes, we are seeing the problem.
All right. So it's enough of the problem. Let's move on to the other side. The gap, there's a gap in the energy sector. And from my brief experience as a worker in the electricity distribution firm, I've come to see that the government parastatals, what they have in place can never solve the problem we have in the energy sector in Nigeria. About 45% of Nigerians are connected to the national grid. That's the normal electricity system. And 55% of the remaining population is not connected. And it's quite unfortunate to know that the 45% that are connected, they don't enjoy stable power supply. It's an erratic power supply. So there's a gap in the energy sector that renewable energy can play a very important role. And since we use energy for almost everything, the recent trend towards greener, more sustainable technologies is creating many opportunities for entrepreneurial-minded individuals. So the question is, are you entrepreneurial-minded? Do you see opportunities, or do you just see the problem and focus and rant on the problem like everybody does? The renewables concept. Renewable energy is energy that is collected from renewable resources which are naturally replenished on human timescale, such as sunlight, wind, rain, tides, waves, and geothermal heat. It will surprise you to know that you can generate electricity from all these mentioned sources: sunlight, wind, rain, tides, waves, and geothermal. But we discovered that in Nigeria, we focus basically on solar. And like Mr. Darabasi said while having a preliminary discussion, he said the reason why we focus on solar in Nigeria is because we have abundant sunlight. Our richest renewable resource, or let me say our strength when it gets to renewable resource, is sunlight. So that is why there has been a big focus on solar as our own source of renewable energy. And people who have the ideology that you have to be an engineer, you have to be an expert before you can get involved in renewable energies. Maybe you need to learn how to install, how to do this. Is very fine. Yes, you need knowledge. But aside from those facts that you need knowledge of renewable energy, you as a banker, you as a clerk in an office, you as someone who works in an hospital, you can play an important role in the renewable energy sector. I would like to tell you that renewables are here to stay. And let me justify that. The population in the world is increasing, and the reality of finite resources is sinking. When I'm talking about finite resources, those are resources that can end. Something that is finite can end. It can be exhausted. Our oil reserve daily is going down. If we focus our strength on all these things, then we are set to perish, because renewables are there as an alternative for us. They are not finite in nature. Like the name implies, renewables. Our energy requirements cannot depend on fossil fuels forever. Fossil fuels are exhaustible. Aside from the fact that they are exhaustible, they are causing more harm to the society. The greenhouse gases emitted from fossil fuels are constituting the problem that we are having these days. I'm sure a lot of you feel so much heat at night when you sleep these days. It's our contribution. We use a lot of fossil fuels that have taken charge of our atmosphere and readed most of the things that are meant to absorb all these heat that we are now absorbing into our own body system. Advances in technology have allowed us to tap into reserves that were inaccessible in the past, but that only delays inevitable. Now, it will shock you to know that there was a class of crude oil that was not permissible for usage. But with time, with development in technology, I think maybe they say it contains sulfur. They were able to screen out those elements that made them not to be able to use them. But it's just we postponing our doomsday. We are doing ourselves no good by that. So how do we recognize the opportunity in the renewable energy sector? There are innumerable opportunities for implementing an innovative renewable energy solution. However, the best place to start looking is in your area of expertise and community. I would like to emphasize on that. So many of us want to do a lot of things in renewable energy, and we ask ourselves the question, how can I start my business in renewable energy? How can I start my firm? How can I do this? How can I do that? You need to first look around you. You don't need to start thinking of a problem you will solve in Kafachan when you are in Lagos. You don't need to think of a problem you will solve in Abule Egba when you are in Akure. You look at your immediate environment, look at the industries you have worked, and think about solutions that you could create where renewable energy could key in as a solution. Now, is it product or service that you need to render? I would like to tell you that you don't need to invent a new product or technology. We are in the stage of globalization. That is what we are. That is the stage we are in Nigeria. If you say you want to invent things, you want to create things, I'm so sorry, the technology is not there for us in Nigeria. So you just only spend time, spend a century achieving what people have achieved, and you just need to stand on. There's a common quote by Isaac Newton. He said, I can see far because I stand on the shoulder of giants. So it's not for you to start reinventing things or start saying you want to build your own solar panel. No. Leverage on the existing technology. You can get involved either in installation, in repair, in maintenance, in sales, or consulting. I would like to tell you that in top energy firms, let me not even say renewable energy firms, top engineering firms, the people that are taking some very critical positions are not even people that have studied engineering. When I was in Cardinal Electric, my MD did no engineering course. I guess she's a human resource personnel before she became a MD. So look at that situation. It's not about you being an engineer. It's not about you being technically inclined. Although there is an importance for you to get the knowledge, we'll get to that point. I'll still talk about that. It's very important for you to have the knowledge of the field, but it doesn't mean you need to have a bachelor's degree in engineering for you to get involved in renewable energy technologies. The way forward, there's a need for you to acquire knowledge on renewable energy technologies. Like I said earlier, if you really want to make a difference, if you really want to do something that's going to be significant, you need knowledge. And there's a common saying that knowledge is power, and another man says power is the ability to do work. That means without knowledge, you can do nothing. You can't have the power, you can't have the ability to do that which you desire to do in the renewable energy sector. And that's why organizations like RETI exist. We train people, we equip them with knowledge required to act in the renewable energy sector. Because we know without the knowledge, there comes no power. And without the power, there is no result. So we organize trainings for people on renewable energy technologies, different trainings in installation, in entrepreneurship. You can go to our website, you see those trainings there. And the next thing is for you to think broadly and focus on your areas of expertise for problems to solve. I shared a story with Miss Glory. There was a time I was sick, so I went to hospital for treatment. And I haven't known about renewable energy then. In the night, their lights was on like most hospitals back then. They had their lights on. There was no noise from anywhere. And I asked myself a question that was, what are they using? What power source are they using? And someone told me solar. Wow. What did they do? They took advantage of renewable energy technology, which is solar photovoltaic system, to power their bulbs. They didn't have to use it because they didn't need machines at that night. They powered the bulb so that people could see. Instead of running on extra cost of generator, they solved the problem with a simple inverter system. You could probably be a barber, you own a barbing salon, and instead of you putting on that generator of 1 kVA, you could just solve the problem with a small inverter system that will power your clipper and maybe your LED TV. So you need to think broadly and focus on your expertise for problems to solve. Look at your niche, look at your community. What problem can I solve there? Finally, you need to brainstorm with friends, family, and colleagues about things that people need or people want. You don't just create a solution that people will not use. As an entrepreneur, you need to sample the opinion of people. If you want to develop a product today, you can't just say, okay, I'm done with the product, you push it to the market. You've not sampled people's opinion before making those products. I bet you the possibility the product is going to fail is very high. When organizations like Coca-Cola, Nestle, different firms, when they start making new products, you know what they do? They take it to schools for those children to taste those things and give them feedback. When they get feedbacks, they are able to now adjust that. Should we go ahead with this product? Should we terminate this product? What is needed? For you to be on this webinar, I'm sure you have the passion, but Passion at times is not enough to drive a vision. You need knowledge. And where can you get the knowledge? You can get the knowledge from organizations which offer quality training. Now, there are a lot of organizations out there that they'll say, okay, come, we train you, do this, do that. You get there and it's going to be a practical waste of time. Why not just look for organizations that are tested and trusted, like RETI? RETI offers trainings for people to expose them to core technical areas in renewable energy. In our upcoming training, we have an upcoming training from 2nd to 6th of March. The training is going to be on solar photovoltaic installation and entrepreneurship. You learn how to design solar systems, install them, and also if your desire is not to get physically involved on site, we have provision for that. Train you on core entrepreneurship competency on that. That's the part of acquiring knowledge. And action, when you acquire the knowledge, fine, they could have taught you fantastic things at Renewable Energy Training Institute. You could learn a lot of solid things, but the knowledge you don't put into action will produce no results. Knowledge we don't put to action will produce no results. So when you come for training, the next thing for you is to map out a way which you can achieve your desire of participating in the current trend in the renewable energy industry. And for RETI, I would like to say this. I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot about RETI. It's because it's a system that I also passed through. I didn't just become an assistant instructor in RETI by accident. Let me just share a brief story with you. I was so interested in joining the trend of renewable energy in Nigeria. And as a graduate of electrical and electronics engineering, I was pretty confused because school didn't teach me what I needed to know about renewable energy. So I went on Twitter and followed several organizations. And one day I summoned the courage to post on my Twitter. My Twitter handle is SPV Designer. You can see the tweet there if you check it. It was posted May 2019. I made a tweet that I need a mentor in the renewable energy sector. I didn't get a response for a long time. I kept following. One day I saw a post by a man named Engineer Abiodun Ojubaro. He's one of the lead instructors at RETI. And I expressed my interest in mentorship. And he replied the tweet and volunteered to mentor me. Not inviting me for the training, it was just for him to guide me. But after a lot of discussion, he told me, he said, young man, if you would move far, you need to be trained. And fine, I've not met him before. How am I supposed to believe that what he's saying is genuine? I took the courage, took the form, and enrolled for the training. One of the best things I did in 2019 was to attend the RETI training. I didn't even have the money. Someone I had shared the vision with was the one who paid for it, my mentor. He paid for it, and it went there, and that was the beginning of my career in the renewable energy industry. And I tell you, if you can also take the bold step of getting trained, little information we get here and there, we can't validate some of them. But when organizations have spent time to put together quality trainings, they expose us to these things that we need to know. So like I said before, I'm just going to do a brief recap. There's a problem in the energy sector in Nigeria. And one of the fastest growing sector of the economy in the world is the energy sector. And it will shock you to know that most of the new energy systems in the world, they are not coming from fossil fuels. There's a multiplication in clean energy generation. Several countries are placing ban on fossil fuel usage. Countries like Germany, they are placing bans, limiting the way people use fossil fuels because they are constituting to global warming and the disasters we are experiencing. And how can you be involved? You don't have to be an engineer. You don't have to have an engineering background. You don't have to be probably an expert installer. All you need firstly is the passion. Then you need to acquire the knowledge because you can't just jump into it without quality knowledge of the field. That's what organizations like RETI are for, to give you a sharp dosage of the knowledge required, and you need to act. Coming to RETI is very amazing and wonderful, but if you don't make use of the knowledge you acquire at RETI, it will be of no use. It's going to be like you still didn't go for the training. And that is not our joy. Our joy is to see people who partake in all this training achieve the purpose of their coming to the training. Thank you. So I don't know, for some of us who have questions, I'd like us to have questions. I intentionally made this presentation short so that we could have room for quality discussion, questions and answer. And I would like you to know that RETI also have mentorship and growth support plan for our alumni. When we train you at RETI, there is a particular system we've put in place for you to be mentored. We look for people who are in the industry already, whom we attach you to. And these ones guide you in making decisions, even if yours is to invest in the energy sector, they guide you in making the right investments. So please, can we all have our mics turned on for questions and answers? I'm more interested in discussion. Feeding you with a lot of dosage won't do so much than answering the questions in your mind.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Engineer Iyanu. So guys, please, I know that many of you might have questions around how do I start, what do I do, which area should I plug in from, what about RETI's trainings. So just please feel free, whatever it is that you have in mind about the sector that you'd like to learn and you'd like to find out, you should please ask it now. And I would like to add that I would like to say well done to Mr. Yanu. He came to RETI as a student. So everything he has shared here with you is true. In fact, many of the young people who volunteer at our team, at RETI team, actually came in as RETI students. So doesn't that make you wonder, why do they want to stay back? It's because of what they've seen. About 5 of them on the team now who are with us all went through as students, and I'm so proud of all of them. Each of them are doing well. Many of them have gotten jobs. Many of them have gotten jobs in renewable energy sectors. Others of them who were already in jobs have testified of doing very well in their job. We had a guy who came from NEPA and another guy who came from FIRS. So this guy who was in FIRS was able to detect a big fraud that would have happened at FIRS from some so-called international solar companies that came to install solar for their headquarters. And because this guy had undergone the training, he was not an engineer, he had undergone the training, so he was able to note, this big mistake there, and his bosses were so proud of him. So it's not just really about us to go and install, but to increase your knowledge so you can spot potential mishaps around you in your place of work. So I mean, that is really what it does for you. Sticking with us, joining our webinars, coming from our trainings, will really make you an expert in the field in the long run, because we invest all of our time, all of our resources into our alumni. Nobody in RETI gets trained and goes away. You can ask some of them that are here. We always keep in touch with all of them. We always wanted to see how they're doing, what we can help them to do, and how they are doing. One of our students just got a mini grid installation contract for his state government. So right now we want to please type in your questions in the chat box. What confusion do you have about the sector? Can one make money in the solar sector? How do you identify the target market? What do you need to do? So we want to take the questions now. Yeah, so we're waiting.
Feel free to ask any question. No question sounds stupid. Every question is important.
So Mr. Galaxy, I think someone is trying to ask a question. So we're waiting. Okay. You can also unmute your screen and just ask it. Mr. Galaxy or something. Galaxy J4. So while we're waiting for him to type in his questions, I wanted to just mention that many of you that are here, you might know that the whole noise about renewable energy started only just 5 years ago. I don't know how many people know this, but this is true. The whole attention around renewable energy, around solar energy in Nigeria started just about 5 years ago. The reason is because 600 million people in Africa do not have access to electricity. 900 million people in Africa do not have access to clean cooking mechanisms. So many of our women still cook with dirty fuel, cow dung, and biomass. And this is #1 leading cause of death. So out of the 600 million people without access to electricity, what this means is that 600 million people in Africa are not connected to the grid. Not that NEPA doesn't give them lights. It is that they are not even connected at all. So that the lights and power outages you experience does not mean you don't have access to electricity. If NEPA brings light small in your house, you have access. But there are people who do not have the access. And out of the 600 million in Africa, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, yeah. Out of 600 million people in Africa without access to electricity, 93 million of this number is from Nigeria. 93 million people in Nigeria are not connected to the grid. Do you imagine, can you imagine the enormous potential that is for your solar business or for your renewable energy business? So I'm just trying to say that many of you who are here for the first time are on the right track. All you need to do afterward is to seek an opportunity for how you can get a specialized training. This solar we are talking about, let me even learn it. How do I want to start? Like Mr. Yano shared, do I want to start from the product or the service end? For the service end, you can decide to maintain solar panels. You can decide to supply solar products. On the product end, you can decide to create your own products according to the problems you find in your community. But how do you go from here? What is the next thing you need to do? Right? You can always reach across Ready to gain mentorship. Many of you are in the Telegram group. Gain mentorship, attend one of our trainings, because we were looking forward to guiding you step by step. One of our engineers calls it hand-holding. Hand-holding. The engineer that Yanu talks about, that's what he calls it. Let us hold your hand. And really, because that's really our goal at Ready. How can we groom a group of youths who will have enough knowledge to work in solar and renewable energy companies as skilled employees, and who can start up their own solar businesses and solve problems that they have seen in their community. Your community can be your church. Your community can be your mosque, the people in your mosque. Your community could be the compound where you live. These people have power problems. How can you begin to reach out to them? Or do you just want to relax and continue experiencing the power outages? But you can be a change. When we're talking about one Nigeria, Nigeria will not be able to change when people like you and me have seen problems and we are not taking steps to solve it. So I'd like to first of all congratulate all of you who are here and say that you did the right thing. Right? So, Mr. Iyano, do we have any questions yet? Yeah?
No, none. Okay, none.
Okay. I thought somebody wanted to say something. Mr. Gabriel,
Yes, Mr. G4 was okay. Mr. Galaxy J4, okay. He said, can I have a data sheet for average sun hours of each state in Nigeria, putting into consideration months of least sun? All right, you can message me privately for that.
Are you in the Telegram group?
Yes, I am.
Telegram group, yeah. So at the Telegram, what is your name on the Telegram group?
Mr. Galaxy Jeff, I think his mic is muted.
So that Mr. Yanu can reach you from the Telegram group and send this to you. Do you already know how to design and install solar systems? Usually, that information is what we share specifically to our students. But of course, because you guys are here, We will send it to you at the end of this webinar. We will also be sharing a recorded version of this webinar. And actually, we're doing a promo currently. I think Engineer Ian forgot to say that, around our current promo and discounts. So currently, if we have a training coming up on 2nd March, and we have a current discount for all the people that joined the webinar who might want to attend the training on 2nd March. So we have a promo ending on 26th March. Our fee is usually 40,000 Naira. If you join, I mean, if you make your payment before the 26th, you only get to pay 30,000 Naira just because you joined this webinar. Like I said earlier, we are trying to do our own goal at RETI is to mentor as much young people as possible that we can, who will drive solutions for the solar. I'm sure that if you check other vendors or any other place you know, they really charge very high for their trainings, but we don't at RETI because we consider it an investment. And it gives us so much joy to see what our alumni has gone on to do. Some of them are here. Many of them are really, really doing so well because of how we follow up with them and pay attention to their success, not just the training that they attend, but to their success. We are committed to following up with you until you establish. So I'll attach my number on this chat box if you'd like to make more inquiries about joining the training. We are providing free accommodations for all the people coming from outside of Lagos. If you're coming from outside of Lagos, we are providing free accommodation for our training coming up in Lagos on 2nd March. I know many people have called us saying, oh, I live in Enugu, oh, I live in Port Harcourt. When are you coming over there? We are going to be providing accommodation for you for free, and we're not charging for it. So you can imagine any other training company that charges you only 30K if you pay earlier and also gives you free accommodation. That should tell you that we're not out here to play. And that is a factor which I think have really enabled our students to go on to succeed, because we don't pressurize them a lot when they come in. So please follow up and let us know if you would like to come. In the meantime, we're still waiting for more questions. Mr. Yanu, you have more things to say? Yeah, so Mr. Yanu, I think in the absence of more questions, we might start preparing to call it a night.
Anyone who has questions can drop it on the Telegram group.
Yes, you can drop your questions on the Telegram group. Thank you very much, everyone who joined. Mr. Galaxy will be sending you what you asked for. Okay, so thank you everyone who had joined our training. I think this is we've come to the end of this webinar. If you're in the Telegram group, we will share the replay link and replay video for you at the end of the day. Everyone have a wonderful night. Thank you. Mr. Yanu, thank you very much for teaching us this time. We learned a lot.
Thanks for having me, Ma.
Welcome. Thank you, guys. Have a great evening.
Yeah, you too.